Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Superwoman Syndrome. We're so excited to be right here in this virtual space with the Women's Empowerment Ministry. Keisha, say hello to everyone.
Hi guys, how's everyone doing tonight? Feeling
Well,
good, feeling great in the neighborhood.
feeling good for a Tuesday night. And so, welcome to Let's Talk with Elisha and Friends. I am joined tonight with one of my friends, my cousin, my BFF.
Hey boo.
We're being all non-professional. Let's be
Okay, we're
professional.
gonna be professional, right?
Yes, we're being professional. But
Last is part of debunking the superwoman syndrome, though. Come on, that's what we're all here to talk about.
we are here tonight to talk about a real issue that is taking control and making it waves amongst women and really amongst African American women. So we want to talk about myths. We want to talk about your experiences. We even want to drill down to certain industries tonight. An industry that is very dear to both Kedra and myself, and that's the industry of education,
Yes,
because it's a predominantly field. It's predominantly ran by women. It's
yes,
a field that is mostly attracted to women. We all know that for many years, teachers, educators, women kind of go to that particular field because it allows them to have a work-life balance. And so we're just going to dive into it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you have any questions, guess what? We want you to drop them in the chat. Questions, drop them in the chat, because we want this tonight to be a chat that's interactive,
yes.
and we want to hear from you. We want to hear we want to hear from you, and we want you to be able to share your superwoman syndromes, your comments, and things like that. So hello back to people that are watching tonight. Thank you so much.
Hello.
They are giving us some love.
Oh, hey boo. Hey Yolanda.
Yolanda Tables. Don't get us started. We trying to be professional on here. We're gonna be professional.
Got it. I got it. I'm gonna bring it on down.
Right. So we're having a good time tonight to talk about something that's very serious to us anyway, something that is dear to our hearts. And so if you got any questions, we want you to drop it in the chat. We want this to be an engaging conversation. Good evening, ladies. So let's just go right into it. The headlines are all over social media in so many different aspects of talking about the teachers union saying educators are exhausted, stressed, and stretched so thin that it feels like they're going to crumble. And so one of the things with me creating the Superwoman Syndrome, I wanted to create a safe space
Yes,
for educators, because I felt like with us being in this COVID, in this pandemic phase, and people are looking for educators to pick up right where we left off, pivot, and just go, right onto it. And when they're not necessarily doing that in their own profession, in their own lives,
yes,
and because we're in the business of taking care of other people's children, it doesn't allow the space for them to really do anything else. So they are considered, just like some of the other professions, people that are on the front lines of this, just like
absolutely.
the doctors, and our healthcare workers, and some of our grocery so many frontline workers have not been able to sit back. They've had to kind of be a part of this space, get in there and work it. Well, the thing about it, the unique space is, while educators had to still teach and still make sure that other kids were receiving what they needed, they also had to manage their own households at the same
Absolutely.
time. And I remember, Kedra, my son's teacher, she had went out on maternity leave, and she had this new baby right when everything happened. And so
Right.
then she was encouraged to come back to
Yes,
work virtually.
absolutely.
She'll teach her class, and you could hear that newborn baby
In the background.
in the background.
Right.
And when I say my heart just went out to her, because I have two kids, and I remember on the second one experiencing postpartum depression,
Absolutely.
after, well, a few weeks after the child was in that 6 week. And so for her having to just be in that space, talk about what you have seen with educators through this whole pandemic, because people still think, oh, we're out of the pandemic, but we're still in the pandemic. Uh-oh, she went somewhere. Kedra, we can't see you. People think that we're out of this pandemic, and that's just not the truth. And so we want to make sure that we're being sensitive to the space of where educators are and where other people are in other professions, but mostly because it is a female predominantly field. Someone says, I believe it. I applaud them. I don't know what happened to Kedra. She's probably going to come back. I believe it. I applaud them. Yes, we do. We do applaud our teachers, our educators. It's one of the most challenging jobs in the whole wide world, and even more challenging during this pandemic. Oh, there you are.
I am back, y'all. I am so sorry. It's the season of technology. So I want to jump into your question, and then I see we had a question come in from one of the Facebook users. But to your point, like at the beginning of the conversation, you mentioned how predominant women are in the field of education. And actually, at one of our previous events, I shared with the group that I facilitated that women make up pretty much 74% of the field of education, right? So we are all over it. 2/3 of anywhere you go in education, you are going to see a woman. And then with history before the pandemic, we saw 50% of educators leave the field going into year 5, right? So now you add COVID and you add the stress of COVID. And as you mentioned, the teacher who has had a child and now is expected to come back and perform for their students, their parents, and then their own household. So I believe your question is, what have I witnessed? I have witnessed a litany of things, right? I have principals that I deal with, assistant principals that I deal with on a daily basis, as well as central office staff members who are all seeking to find the right balance. And I think districts have been very cognizant about how do we provide social emotional learning, which is very different than what I saw pre-pandemic. One of the benefits that COVID has put in place is this pressure on districts to be really aware of how their employees are showing up to work. Are they showing up to work whole? Are they showing up to work mentally stable to deal with the things that they're faced every day? And I've seen districts include more social emotional learning, not just for children, but now for the adults who actually work with the children. So I think that COVID has been really challenging for us, but I believe that it is making us more aware of how we have to look at the whole person who shows up to serve the children every day, and the whole person who shows up to serve the building every day, and then the whole person who shows up to support the building and the teachers, right? And so that is, I mean, I don't want to say benefits, but it is one of the benefits that COVID kind of created.
And I would like, one of the things that I found very interesting is the whole social emotional space. Period, that we weren't sensitive to prior to. And I love the fact that you leaned into that as an educational professional, that it's okay to raise your hand. And so everybody that's watching, Kedra is actually one of our breakout session speakers. So you're getting a little glimpse to what you can expect to see as she joins us in on this Saturday for the Superwoman Central Summit. But African American women, we talked a little bit about this offline, and how we somehow adopted this persona of being a strong Black woman, right?
Right.
And being able to keep that persona or keep that reputation or operate in that space and still recognize that we have some superwoman syndrome tendencies that could put us in an unhealthy space
Absolutely.
mentally. Because see, I want people to know that wine should not be our first go-to for
Absolutely, it should not.
and I know the shelves have been very empty over through this pandemic, and many of us have to raise our hand to say that, when we first found out that we were going to have to be home,
We went stocked up.
we went and stocked up, right?
Exactly. That's
went,
what we did. We went and stocked up.
we went and stocked up. But now we're finding that there's other ways to manage stress,
Yes.
other ways to recognize that, okay, if I keep down this road, then I will be, unhealthy mentally and physically,
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about that last Tuesday. I love the transparency with Yolanda, who's watching tonight, and LaWanda, who shared, as well as sometimes where they kind of gotten out of pocket
Yes.
with their superwoman syndromes and had to go necessarily speak to someone, and then Yolanda had talked about her asking for help,
Yes.
and
yes.
so and all of those things are so true and needed, but they're not primarily what the strong Black woman is known for. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Right. So again, this is a passion subject for me, so I'm gonna try to keep it real short and concise. But when we think about the strong Black woman syndrome, right? Like a lot of times as African American females, we don't recognize that that is a stereotype that connects back to our history in slavery, right? So when we're asking ourselves, where does this come from? It was an onset of the things that we had to manage from slavery that has kind of trickled down generationally and brought us into the present. And we don't know how to function, right, in any other space because it's strong Black woman. So strong is contextually seen as good. That means I am good at what I do all the time. I'm a good mom. I'm a good career woman. I'm a good entrepreneur. I'm good at the church, right? Like I'm a good wife. I can handle all of these things. Yet in the process, this weight on our shoulders starts to go like this, right? It kind of like slowly ticking down. And we start to get these aches and these tension points. And I think that what COVID did for me, because I know I lived into that, like I'm a strong Black woman. You can't tell me that I can do that plus 10 more other things. But what it revealed to me is my weakness, right? And that, I mean, I'm a spiritual person. God didn't create me to be that strong. That's not how I was created. I wasn't created to carry all this weight. I wasn't created to be perfect in all of my ways. And so during the season of COVID, I remember I was started doing these meditation moments and I was putting them out on Facebook, right? And then I started doing moments of peace. And it started to really hit me as a educator that along my journey from teacher to assistant principal to district office to principal, I was always expected to show up whole, yet I did not recognize when I needed to retreat. So when I started doing the meditation moments, it was a form of retreating so that I could recenter myself. So I would stretch, I would breathe, I would pray, I would listen to music. And I believe that Christiane is going to offer some of that spiritual meditation as part of the breakout. And that's what we need. But COVID, right, as again, as challenging as it been, COVID allowed me the space to really center myself and determine what are those things that I need in order to be whole and balanced, so that everything that I'm trying to do aligns to my purpose in this moment, in this season. And I'm not trying to go too far backwards and I'm not trying to go too far ahead. I'm really present in this moment with the people that I love in this moment. And I'm not always thinking about something else. And so I challenge women and educators specifically, and anyone who's on the front line, pastors, police officers. We are in the business of giving. We give often until our cup is empty, right? But we really, I've heard somebody say, Jill May says, you can't give from an empty cup. You have to give from your saucer, because the saucer is where the overflow lays. And that's really where you have something to give. And so as much as you pour out, you have to take time for whatever your belief system, we're Christians, to pour into you and for you to pour into yourself so that you have overflow and that people can drink from your saucer. And it's really important. So yeah, like again, this is a passion area for
me. Yeah, can you hear the passion in our voice?
Yeah, because it's something that I've lived in. And even when we started fall into, what are we calling it? Fall into what is our title, Alicia? Fall into working out. We're falling into this season of
we're falling into fitness. Yes.
Falling into
mentally, physically, yes, and spiritually. Yes.
Yeah. Fall into fitness. I went today and I walked. I was like, I really want to walk before we get online and we start getting into the work that we do. And I feel so much centered. My mind is so much more clear to be able to engage at this time of night, because I've released. What we don't realize is when we exercise and we stretch, we're releasing toxins. So a lot of that brain fog that we have is released out of our pores and through the sweat. And then if we come home and we drink water, we hydrate, that opens our brain up to be able to function and deal with those things that we have on our plate.
Well, before we move to that, I want to go back to that Facebook person that shared. She asked the question. I think you may have answered it in a roundabout way. How do you say no without feeling guilty when asked to do things that you know will tire you out? And it's so funny that you would ask that question, because we talked about the power of no last week. So if you can go back to the previous video and watch how we talked about no last week, and then today, we were on a meeting with LaWanda, and she said, "I'm practicing my nose."
Practicing my nose, right?
Because it's okay to say no, and no does not mean, it doesn't have anything behind it, but it protects you, talk a little bit about how no is, because I say it's a full sentence, because that comes from me talking to the children. Did I say no? That's just
right. Like there's a period at the end of that.
Yes,
no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
I think the biggest thing with the no's is recognizing your limits and creating boundaries. And I had a good friend when I worked in Fulton County as a principal. Her name is Carla Alston, and she's a soror, right? I'll never forget this. Like, this one statement that this soror shared with me was life changing for me. She was like, Key, she came in my office. We're standing by the orange couch. She said, Key, you have to understand that people only respect what you protect, right? Yes. So if you don't protect your time, they're not going to respect it. If you don't protect your family space, they're not going to respect it. If you don't protect your mental space, they're not going to respect it. So no is often a boundary so that you are protecting what is most precious to you, which is your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, your relationship with Christ, and your family. And so I don't feel guilty. I used to feel real guilty about stuff like that. But I'm like, I've noticed just like even a transformation, like people asking us to do stuff on the weekends, and we like, no, like weekends are really for our family because we're running all week long. So when it comes to the weekend, we need to be spending quality time with our kids. So everything else has to take a second seat to that, or the kids have to be able to participate in it. And that just goes back to what you value and what do you see as important in your life, right? Like a lot of times we are moving along trying to create these legacies for other people, but the no is a process of creating the legacy that's going to really stand in your household and what it means to be present in the moment. I think it all goes back to like, how many moments can you really show up and be present in as your full self. If you tired, you're not giving 100% anyway. If you're operating at 60%, whatever that project is that you said yes to is only getting 60% of you, right? So you have to be able to say no so that you can show up as 100% to those things that you've committed to.
Ooh, you guys, I'm trying to tell you, if you don't hurry up and make sure you're a part of that Superwoman Syndrome Summit that is happening this weekend. And matter of fact, we did something special for educators. We have created a coupon code. Teacher 21 is your code. Please let that use that code, and that'll give you a discount, a $5 discount off your registration for the entire weekend. We have included massage therapy, so that's a bonus for me. And I shared a little bit about my secret weapon.
Your secret weapon, okay?
Because as women, we like to share resources on things that are important to us and how we relieve stress, you know? And so I discovered that massage therapy
is everything.
It's everything. It got the Holy Ghost.
It absolutely does.
Okay, that's just the church. That's the church girl in me, y'all know. But it really does. It's very relieving. And I think Black women, we need more of that, where it's on a regular basis, where we go and get some type of therapeutic release. Yes. And so Sherelle Thomas, who is my massage therapist of choice, she's one of the best massage therapists here in Atlanta. She will be here at the second day of the Superwoman Syndrome Summit, offering 30-minute massages, just so you can get a tad of what she offers. And she specializes in deep tissue massage therapy for people that are stressed. And so Kedra, you know, I did recommend Kedra to go see Sherelle, and tell us all about your experience, please. Tell us.
Yeah, so if you know me and Alicia, we're always like, no, I got the best. She's like, no, I got the best. So I was like, well, I'm going to go check her out, right? So I went to Sherelle for a 2-hour massage. Because
wait a minute, did you hear how long she said she was on the table?
2 hours.
She was on the table for 2 hours. Okay, go ahead.
But let's be clear, right? Because I had recognized that I was at a stress point. I felt tension coming from my shoulders, going up to my neck, headache, you know, and those are signs, women, that your body is getting ready to be just tighten up. When you feel that lock up, that means you need to go find you Sherelle, right? So I'm laying on Sherelle's table, and when I was done, I felt like I was on a spiritual high. Right. Walking out of there, my legs felt weak, but I needed it. And it changed my whole mood. And I remember talking to one of my free girls driving home, and I just giggled for 30 minutes home. But again, it's the release of toxins, and people don't recognize that part of massage therapy. What it does is releases toxins, which is why they tell you to drink water afterwards so that you can continue to detox your body. So I told my husband, I was like, I think you should just pay for me to have a massage at minimum twice a month.
You see, so ladies, make sure that you come to the second day of the Superwoman Syndrome so you can just experience Sherelle. You can go on and register. There's a link for you to add on her massage therapy services for the 30-minute massage. Go ahead and do that. And the second piece is the stretch worship.
Yeah.
Now, oh my gosh, I'm so
excited.
What? I got my yoga mat. Y'all been riding around with my yoga mat in the trunk of my car because it will be Alicia that leaves it at home. So it's just going to be in my car till
leave it there.
Just leave that till Sunday, because I can't wait. If you think about when it's time for you to go to worship, and I don't know how many believers I have watching or non-believers, but it's like no other, you know, to get into a center space spiritually. Yes. And if you know what it's like to worship God, and then to be able to do stretches during that time, because stretch relieves tension. Yes. And it provides, it's a huge stress reliever. So if you are a caretaker, because is that caregiver? I'm sorry. If you're a caregiver, if you are a teacher, if you are a mom, if you are a entrepreneur or a career woman, trying to do it all and be well at it, carve out this time for yourself to restore something back for yourself. It's so important that we're able to do that so that you can have something to give. Someone said, they said, I think I'm about to try to get out of the previous engagement. Lord, help me to learn to make the word no come out of my mouth. I need a massage.
Yes, friend.
Yes, friend, you do. Come on and get one. Because I will tell you, the massage, and y'all could say, Elisha said that the massage had the Holy Ghost, okay?
So they had the anointing.
We got the anointing. All right, because I want to scare anybody, but I'm old school Baptist girl, But let's talk about, so we just wanted to let you know those are some sort resources that we're providing on the second day of the Superwoman Syndrome Summit. It's so important that we take time for ourselves. We are now discovering it and how important it is. And a lot of times the reason why we're discovering it, because many women are what we call, or what we say, we put ourselves in the path or of the dangerous path of heart attacks, strokes, mental breakdowns, emotional breakdowns, depression, all of these,
Anxiety. There's an uptick in
anxiety.
anxiety in our
There's an
community.
uptick in anxiety. Yes, because we're not getting the proper rest. We're not getting the proper exercise. We're not taking time for ourselves, and we're not saying no. We're not doing that balance. And so
Right.
talk a little bit about that, Keisha, before we say goodbye, on how this Superwoman Syndrome Summit could really bless someone in registering and being a part of the experience.
So I just believe that, first of all, there are amazing speakers, and I'm not just saying that because I am one. But there are some amazing speakers that are going to be in the place, and I just think it's important, before we go into the season of holidays.
Yes.
Moms experience a lot of stress during holiday seasons.
Yes.
That you take some time, 2 hours, 3 hours of your day, take the entire weekend to just focus on you. I think you will find it to be beneficial. It's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. And you will leave with practical practices that you can do from your desk, in your home. You won't have to pay a whole lot of money to do some of the things that the women are going to give you. And the ticket price can't be beat. Like you can't beat the price that Pastor E has decided to charge for this, which to me just shows the heart that she has for us all to just get back centered. The stress is coming on with holiday season. Your kids gonna want stuff, your husband gonna want stuff, your mama gonna want you to cook, and all of these things. So just take this time to just kind of take a fall break, fall into fitness, but also fall into you. Fall into that moment with you and learn some strategy that's going to get you through the end of this year. And it's going to be fun. Lots of giggles and a good time.
Yes, and you can't beat that time. When I say the workshops are phenomenal, if you've ever gone through anything, and we even have a bounce back session. So LaKendra Baker, who is a phenomenal therapist, will be here to help us navigate your bounce back season and what that looks like, and how to navigate and be resilient when you face different types of opposition. And then what else is great too, just being in a circle, in a safe space with other women to support one another, sharing our ideas and resources that help us be better. And so I'm going to pull out some of my great some of my great resources out of my own personal Rolodex, like who I use as a personal chef or meal prep from time to time when I need that break, or who's a great person that we can use to clean our homes. I think women, we should take advantage of that. Have somebody come in at least, once a month to kind of take that edge off. I talked about last week, I talked about the garment cleaning services. It's one thing to take your nice suits to get to the dry cleaners, but it's another thing if you have all these loads of clothes, and as moms and wives, sometimes I used to be this person that had to wash all the loads and fold them and put them away. And it wasn't until one of my sorority sisters said, "You're going to always have something, to do." So that freed me. And we have to be able to say, "Listen, sister, call this person right here so they can come. You can take your loads of clothes to them, take that off of your plate to do, and then that just catches you up for the month." So we just want to make sure that we provide resources for women to help us be successful and help us take some things off of our plate. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Someone said, "So true, the holidays can be stressful. Trying to be a superwoman, planning, shopping, traveling, it's a lot. This will be a great way to de-stress prior to going into the holidays." Yes. Someone else says, "Right, I'm tired. Freedom. Good gracious." Right. Yes, it is. And the last quarter is the best time to do something like this.
It is.
I had to be honest. I've been running all year long, event after event, and I had to have a conversation with my business coach. I had to sit down with my coach and I had to say, "Hey, I really need to take a step back and look at my calendar and how many things that I'm booking back to back. And, am I overextending myself? Am I, am I running myself too thin, And I even had to sit down and talk to my husband about some of the things that I was doing as well. And so I found it to be a healthy choice to, take a step back and unplug from some things and reevaluate the space that I'm in to make sure that I'm mentally
absolutely
healthy. Come on, healthy to be in this space. So your girl had to take her cape off. And so, and I'm going to talk about that as well on this Saturday, being okay with taking the cape off.
Absolutely. I think I've been in that space too, where I just decided to just slow a lot of things down. I was trying to manage business and work, and I'm in school. And so what I found was like work started upticking and school wasn't going to change. So I had to say, okay, I can only do this with the business and be okay with being in that space. Because the reality is, whatever is supposed to be in the future, however it's supposed to manifest, it's going to do it. It doesn't matter if we move fast or slow. Sometimes we move so fast, we start to make more mistakes than if we had taken a step back. And then we can, in that step back, we tend to be more strategic because we can think clearer. So take the cape off, join us. We want to see you guys on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be an amazing affair.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of our Let's Talk Superwoman Syndrome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And we can't wait to see you this Saturday. So you guys go out and register so you can learn more about Superwoman Syndrome. Be a part of this wonderful community that provides support like this. I promise not to let you down. I promise you that this will be a wonderful space.
Absolutely.
A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful summit. And it'll be worth every dime. Or guess what? I'll give you your money back. I guarantee that it will bless you more than you could ever ask or imagine.
Absolutely.
Well, God bless you. Good night.
Good night, y'all. Thank you for joining us.